Welcome to the OAPN Podcast with your host, Adarsh Sakare. No bullshit, no cuts. 100% raw conversations with 0% fucks to give. We don't encourage the consumption of alcohol, but if you want to open up a cold one while you watch this, it's not a bad idea.
Welcome to episode number 59 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakare. We shot 58 with the gorgeous, beautiful, clever, glamorous, I don't know what are the words to use for her, but Asha was pretty awesome on the episode. We're waiting for that one to come out, but today is another unique day for us. Pretty unique because it is 8 a.m. in the morning and we've already finished breakfast because of the guest we have, but we're always up for anything and everything. Before I speak more about the guest, let's say hi to Suhail. Hi, Suhail.
Yeah, Adarsh.
Thanks for finally making it here.
I know, man. It was pushed for almost a month, I think. If Aditya wasn't persevering so hard, I don't think so this would have happened. No, I always wanted to do it, but schedule wasn't permitting. But I'm glad I'm here at the dosa and coffee in the morning. Let's get it rolling now.
We're glad as well. So, a little about Suhail. If you know Suhail, this is a chance for you to maybe dive into some of the topics that he wants to address a little more deeper. Maybe he hasn't got the chance to speak on it on a public platform. If you don't know Suhail, ideally Suhail is part of this amazing space, amazing community called Academy of Strength, and he runs the place with Devrat. And fortunately he runs the place with Devrat, and I think Academy of Strength has created quite some noise in the fitness community, not just in the results they've achieved. I think it's more towards just the community they're able to build, and this almost organic approach towards changing the mindset towards fitness, right? And they are the flag bearers of that right now. And everyone who's associated with the community almost swears by them, saying, this is the space you got to be a part of. So there's a lot of work that's been put into it. It's one thing to open up a gym and make a good buck out of it, but it's another thing to build a community and change the mindset of how people are looking at the work that you're doing. So we are, of course, very excited to have him on here. We have been for quite some time. So I hope you are too. We'll also dive a little deeper into Suhail's life and maybe bring out stuff that you haven't heard before. So, Suhail, thanks for coming here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the episode.
Yeah. And like you said, there are two aspects to this, right? One is making a buck out of the business. And secondly, the responsibility of having people's health and wellness under your wing. And that is where I feel like most people cannot hide their vulnerabilities from. It shows, right? And when people come in like that, it is an added responsibility for you as an organization who's running fitness and health as their primary agenda to make sure they get what they're looking for. It's not a business where I'm playing with material, I'm playing with somebody's life and health. So that is a huge responsibility, and that hit me only once I went through the ranks of it when we started training, like I was telling you. It's funny that every gym we went to, at least personally, they would find home everywhere. But for me, it took a while. Every gym that I went to was intimidating more than anything else. Yeah. Right? Like I usually saw either people with huge muscles lifting tons of weight, and either that or people really running hard on the treadmills. So these are the only two things I saw back in the day. And I didn't think anything else apart from this existed. Cut to a few years later, things are different today. So fortunately, that education came in. Yeah. And now we're trying to see where we can take it from there with the awareness perspective of what exactly the body needs rather than what the trend outside is. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, great, man. I mean, we'll definitely dive into that maybe in some time. But definitely you want to get into more of Suhail's side a bit. I mean, your Instagram says it. Your name says it, right? Like Coach Fat Boy. I think the name is enough to like say what you've been through and what's the transformation, and it's the absolute appropriate name. Like you can't go wrong with the story with that name.
You know,
right?
It was actually it's funny that you brought up the Instagram handle. I was very skeptical about the name because back then, like I said, I was feeling very vulnerable, and my only understanding to being fit was you need to have abs. I had the classic example, a Greek god for a friend who lived with me since I was in class 1. And imagine being best friends with a guy who has like a sculpted body, whereas you're this fat guy constantly eating junk and fat food around. It took me a few years to understand that although fitness can be seen in somebody's body, it's also important to feel it.
Yeah.
That's where I was making a mistake. I was not trying to feel it. I was trying very hard at the very the aesthetical aspect of it. For me, back then, fitness only meant you've got to look chiseled, you got to have low body fat, and you got to be able to lift thousands of kgs of weights.
Yeah.
And fortunately, over a period of time, that changed. And for me personally, my biggest concern was I was always looking at it as I'll get abs and then I'll stop. You know, I didn't have any other goal or vision in mind with my fitness. I didn't look at it as a thing that I'm going to carry through my lifetime. I didn't look at it as a maintenance activity for my body. I looked at it as a luxury that people who can afford to will go to the gym, spend money on their supplements and their memberships, and create this spectacle that you see most people are.
Yeah.
And that is what fitness meant to me back then. Fortunately, over time and years, things have changed. And I don't think if it wasn't for my personal agenda of trying to work my health and fitness, at some point this academy wouldn't have happened. Right? It had to be me starting off with a personal change. And that's when I could contribute to making a change outside. And like I said, it's a huge responsibility apart from making a big buck. When somebody, like for back then when I used to think of, I wish gyms spent a little more effort into understanding my well-being mentally apart from just the physical aspect. So that is the change that Dev and I are trying to bring into the academy. And that's why I think we are known for it, the elements beyond the training aspects of the academy.
Yeah, it's great. But why did it matter to you? I mean, see, because here's the thing, right? Like, I think there is a huge, like you've called it out on your transformation post as well. It's about the mindset, and the mindset has to come in. I don't think it was, hey, you know what? I just need abs, so I'm going to make this transformation. What really changed?
Like a lot of talk today, if you say certain things too many times, it loses its value, right? So like that, too many people have said it's a mind game, and it's starting to diminish the value of the words. It's a mind game is starting to diminish. Whereas I want to re-emphasize the same cliche and tell you it truly is. For me, where it changed was, for a lot of years, I didn't think it'll matter to me so much, physically at least, because I was active, I was athletic. The only thing that was lacking is how I looked. At least that is what I thought back then. But at some point, I realized, honest to God, I was not good at anything else. I was not good at anything else other than some physical sport and activity that I did. And I realized if I wanted to take this further as a profession, I couldn't be faffing with it anymore. I had to be serious about the fact that nobody's going to listen to me if I don't practice what I preach. So I began off at that note thinking at some point I want to be an athlete, maybe not a fitness coach. Maybe cricket is where I wanted to take it in. I played for quite a few years. I played for Air India. I played some zone leagues. I played a few decent level cricket tournaments. And I wanted to be fit, and I wanted to eventually chase the cricketing field as my profession. But well, that clearly went out of the window very fast. Engineering didn't happen either. And then thanks to having Dev around, who was constantly doing some form of fitness activities or things like that. I also, like they say, right, like your company defines most of the things that you do and who you are eventually. So fitness was a big part of my life. So since I want to take it professionally, I decided that I had to first make that change within myself. And only then could I add value to somebody else's life. So that's when I stopped lying about what I was eating, how I was feeling, how I was doing. It wasn't enough to just feel great. It had to be something that showed on my system also. It began like that. It began with me wanting to make a physical transformation. But over that whole journey, I realized it was not just the physical aspect of it that changed. The way I saw at fitness, the way I looked at my nutrition, all this changed. I think I was telling you earlier saying that now I have this rule for myself where I say it's one for the body, one for the soul. Right? Before it was all for the soul. I would start my day with the soul, continue my day with the soul, end my day with my soul. That's basically saying eat whatever that came in front of me. It does not work like that, obviously. I had to find a nice balance between giving one for myself and making sure that one is to maintain what I got here. Wow. Right? Not discrediting the value of what is given to me, that is health and fitness. Didn't want to lose it as I aged, like I saw most of my friends today. It didn't actually take a lot that way for me. It came from a very natural instinct of being outdoorsy, being always playing. I never enjoyed being in front of a computer. I never thought I would be a person who would do a desk job. Although I thought eventually I have to go that direction because that is what everybody does, right? Like nobody comes and tells you can become an artist, you can become a coach, or you can become anything other than a doctor, lawyer, and engineer. Unfortunately, that was my mindset. But fortunately, things changed and I changed. That's where it started. And once I took it seriously, the professional aspect of it, that's where slowly things started to show a new direction.
So it almost seems like Devrat and you were meant to meet each other, man.
I think we are like two souls, one body.
Legit.
There are a lot of people who complain that you guys are never going to find relationships. But I disagree. We don't actually talk so much, although we know we are there for each other no matter what. It's not the kind of friendship that I will literally go and tell him everything. And neither will he.
Yeah.
We understand when each other are going through a hard time or a good time. That's because we've spent so much personal time with each other. And friendship has been more non-verbal for us. Right? It's not too much expression. It's not too much being together all the time. But I don't think I personally, I'm sure I can't speak for him. I personally have found very few people who understand me the way he does. So luckily for me, he also was into a big part of him was about health and fitness. And I think I took that off of him. From him. And today it's become my life as well.
So who coined the term Academy of Strength?
Oh, wow. That's actually a friend called Hamza. Okay. So he's also one of our school friends. Okay. And we never wanted to call it a gym because it was not the idea that we wanted to put forward. Yeah. We always had this idea of, back then at least, where fitness was about Monday chest, Tuesday back, Wednesday whatever. We wanted to bring an idea of fitness which is a little more holistic than just this. This was what I spoke is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday routines were all bodybuilding routines. I'm not against that at all because my former years went in most of it and they added a good base. So I understand that has a certain space for it, but that is not everything. So when we started this, we wanted to have people understand that fitness is beyond just building muscle. It's about being aware of the patterns in which your body moves. It's not just pull, push. Yeah. It's also hinge. It's also carry. It's also walk. These things are very important on a day-to-day life. So your fitness has to address all these elements that would be needed from you in a day-to-day life. So when we wanted to start our gym, we wanted to educate people and we want to educate them with all these things that I just mentioned to you. So a friend said, why don't you call it the Academy of Strength? It was Hamza who gave the name. Okay, nice. And we were like, oh no, why not? Definitely, it sounded like a good name. And we also want to structure it such a way that we want to create more coaches. It was not just about us coaching clients. We wanted to follow a protocol where we'll create more coaches that follow a similar ideology that we do in the academy. That's where the name came in.
So your business sense came through your own learning, or it runs in the family?
Oh, nowhere in the family, to be honest.
What's the family like been into? And I mean, is this the first time they're witnessing that, okay, these businesses can build a life as well?
That is a great question, because it is damn funny how it was perceived by my family. Like, direct family, I have none. My folks passed away very long back. It's almost been 20 years now. I mean, nothing to feel bad. Looking back, all these experiences is what made
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been 20 years. I was in school then.
Damn.
So I had a very good support system though. I had
so who really brought you up?
My younger brother lived with my aunt.
Okay.
And then I decided to stay by myself.
Okay.
So from the time I was 13.
What?
13, 14, I lived by myself. I lived in my house in Benson Town. It's actually my mom's house.
What do you... Okay. And by yourself?
Yeah. I lived by myself. And I had school friends. Yes.
So you're saying high school...
9th and 10th,
by yourself?
I had one aunt and uncle living with me, but they moved out very fast. So then I was living by myself.
What are you saying?
But I always had support. I mean, believe me, it sounds more heroic and difficult than it actually is. It was pretty simple looking back now. All those times is what really made me who I am today. Right? So it started like that, and even though I don't have direct family, I have family I'm answerable to. My mom's sisters and my mom's brother and his family. They don't live with me, but stayed around these people. And my brother lived with my aunt, so that was easy. So I just had to take care of myself. Not that I had somebody else to take care of. And that was not that difficult looking back now.
It didn't fuck with your head.
Oh, it did. It did big time. Like, initially, the plan growing up was I'm going to study, become an engineer, get a job,
sort myself,
get married, get a house, all of that. But when I started my electronics and communication at Debunking Sagar, I realized this is not what I want to be doing at all.
Not what it is.
I didn't have heart, soul, kidney, nothing in it. So I was like, okay, let me pause for a while and reevaluate what I want to do. That's when I decided I would take on fitness as a career, and backlash as always. Uncles and aunts losing their plot, saying gym trainer banta hai tu and things like that. I was like, yeah, I want to try this and let's see where it goes. And they were completely against it. For how long you want to follow this whim of yours? Is it done now? It's been 3 months, it's been 4 months, it's been 6 months. Slowly, family started detaching. They're like, oh, this guy is not going anywhere in life, so let's keep our children away from him. So they don't get influenced to become any artists like this. My cousins. And a lot of backlash, like I said, like the not only for me coming out of a Muslim
Is that
family,
why they moved away?
No, they were always away.
Okay.
Like I lived by myself. Although I had answerability. Like I would have to tell my aunts what I'm doing in life. They would ask me about what is going on in life. But after a point of me trying to tell them that this is the career I've chosen, they stopped questioning. The only thing they would do is they would complain whenever they would see saying that when are you going to start a proper career? When are you going to start a proper job? I'm like, this is a job. This is a career. I intend to take this further. I explain my plans to them saying that I'm going to have a gym. I'm going to expand. I'm going to have 2, then 3 maybe. Then I'm going to coach people. They never thought of it as a credible profession. So they completely stuck out of it and slowly pulled their children away from me as well. But cut to 3 years later, I followed what I had to. Luckily, or unfortunately, nobody directly pressing me too hard. Like if my mom or dad were alive, there's no way I would have become a coach.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, I don't know whether like I'm happy or sad for my losses. Right. So extremely grateful for how my life has turned out today. But back then, that is not how I saw it. It was a lot of risk. It's a lot of thought. It's like whether this is the right decision or not, whether they are right, whether I'm right, doubting myself. The self-doubt is not the best thing when you're starting something new. I had a lot of that initially. And to add to all of it, I still was a feeling fit kind of guy, not looking fit kind of guy. So imagine trying to preach fitness while you didn't look fit. So I had to get past those challenges, convince my family, try to tell them it's a good career. But somehow I knew that this is the beginning of a revolution of fitness in India. This I'm talking about 10 years back. I knew that because I used to see people try to spend 1,500, 2,000 for a session back then. And Zella was where when I started, and we were thinking Zella, yeah.
Okay.
So we started there, and we were thinking that wow, there is spending capacity for people, and also an opportunity for people to earn through the industry. And cut short, we started working for Zella, and from there we moved out because we weren't growing. We moved to this place called Nama CrossFit. We did our certifications there, and we learned there. And personally, I didn't do a great job, so I had to leave, or rather, I had to get thrown out of that facility. And cut short to a few months. Cut short to a few months. Devrat also had to leave because something didn't work out right with him. And then we realized, okay, we've been through the ranks of whatever we had to. I think we have a decent understanding of what we need to be doing with all the mistakes we had made. So we started the academy thinking we'll rectify all our mistakes and we'll add layers as we go. You bring your perspective to it, I bring my perspective to it, and we'll see what we can create out of it. And today is the academy strength.
So you drive a pretty fancy car.
Oh wow!
Right? Is that something you one of your good buys? I'm guessing.
To be honest, it was actually a very coincidental buy.
Okay.
So nothing I would say today that I have which come under the luxury category, I have willingly gone and picked or purchased. Let it be accessories, clothes, cars, bikes, whatever. It's mostly because of the industry I've been in. It's all give backs from there. So this was a client I was training, and he was looking forward to push that vehicle away. And I was like, why don't buy it? And he gave me a fantastic deal on it. Okay. And I don't think I would have got something that expensive. Personally, I wouldn't spend on it.
Yeah, well, honestly, the reason I asked you that is because when you were telling me you were 15 and 16 and 20 and you're having like family pull your cousins away from you, if for some reason like
those cousins have all come back today,
yeah, exactly,
all the family, all the cousins, everybody who at some point said no, you're not doing the right thing, today come and empower me. I'm glad they've changed. The perspective has changed. I don't hate them because what they did to me in the past. If they didn't do that, I wouldn't have gotten where I have. So I look at it like that, saying that they've all come back eventually. So now my opportunity to tell them how is the right way to treat people.
And it's amazing, right? Like a lot of these times you'll hear a lot of people complain about the things that are not going right for them. Like say, you know what, my parents are not with me. And, hey, you know what, this girl left me because I'm pursuing this dream. And that's the reason I'm sitting in my room and I'm like, I'm done sulking about it. And then the universe is almost looking at you like, dude, you can't get there without this. Don't you realize it? Because how else am I going to give you that energy?
Absolutely.
Like, you aren't going to get it out yourself. You aren't superhuman, so I need like other channels to pump this through you.
No, it's absolutely right. The way I look at adversity today has changed simply because of my primitive experiences. My early life taught me that everything that goes bad comes along with an experience that is going to add value in such a way that you'll never be able to put a price on it. Like if I hadn't gone through those losses that I went through in my early years, today I know that even though those losses were that great, life came back to normalcy. So the learning is, even if today something really challenging comes my way, I know that tomorrow life will be fine. For now, I just have to buffer it. I just have to stick it out and know that tomorrow is a better day. And that keeps me at ease all the time. My stresses are low. I don't overthink situations. When it comes, I'll embrace it and I'll go through it. And this is what I think as a coach, I tend to add value with my trainees beyond just the physical aspect of it. These learnings have helped them in a way that they don't think that issues could be that. You know, when people come to you to train, they think it's their weight that is an issue. They think their food and their junk is an issue. Their sleep and stress is an issue. Issue for most people, I realize, is overthinking everything. Right? You wanted to lose weight, you overthought losing weight. You wanted to leave junk, you overthought leaving junk. You wanted to get into a better mind frame, you overthought being in a better mind frame. At some point, you just got to step out and do it. If you fail, no problem. You'll choose a second path. But we don't even choose to move forward. And I'm guilty of it as well. For me to be sitting here and saying all this, it's not like every single day I'm living in the most awareness-filled mindfulness and things like that. It's just, at least I know that everything passes. And if there is a bad day, there will be a good day. There's no second thought about it. You just got to be patient. So I think that learning has been the greatest understanding for me from all the losses that I've had in my past.
Yeah. So let's get into challenging some of the beliefs or the myths that exist. And I know you have a few in your mind, and maybe I have a few too. Sure. And I'd love to pick your brain on it, right? The first one is the calorie deficit way, right? So I mean, to be honest, it's worked for me in the past, but I then again bounced back. Lost a good amount of kilos due to calorie count, and worked beautiful. And again, fucking bounced back. But Instagram doesn't say so. Instagram, enough people vouching for it, saying calorie count is the way to go. So quick bit on living your life on a calorie count.
All right. I've been in the industry and I've trained myself, and totally I would have been over 2 decades of my life in fitness of some form, maybe professionally over the last 6, 7, 8 years. In all these years of me training myself, training people, speaking and living a healthy life, I've personally never counted calories.
Okay.
It's ironical we speak of that because we just ate kesari bath, masala dosa, filter coffee with a lot of sugar and then sitting here with a bloated stomach. It's stupid, I understand. But at some point you'll realize it's not always about the numbers.
Yeah.
It's not about the 100 calories that you got to live by and got to stay below the 100 if you want to lose weight, or stay above the 100 if you want to gain weight. I'm being very general. What I mean is, to each their own. For some, intermittent fasting works. To some, calorie deficit works. To some, keto works. To some, paleo works. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. It's a hard way to put this across because there is no answer here.
Yeah.
The answer is basically, what can you do consistently till you die? It will never be a change that you make temporarily, and the results also remain temporary. If you make a lifestyle change that is going to last the years, the results that you achieve will last the years.
Yeah.
Now people ask me, what is the best approach? Calorie deficit or keto or paleo? I'm like, what works best for you?
Yeah.
For me, I can give up on one meal and make sure the next meal I cover up. Yeah. But some people, they might lose their brains if they give up on one meal. Now, who am I to sit and say intermittent fasting is only the way forward? Yeah. And who am I to say calorie deficit is the only way forward? Now, in your case, like you said, you bounce back every time you've tried to lose weight. So clearly that is not the approach. So what will I do next? Calorie deficit again? No. I would try something that has probably not been done by me before and see if that is the way forward. Again, there is no one size fits all for fitness. When people say bodybuilding is bad or functional training is bad, I completely disagree. Nothing is bad. When people say wrong form of squatting, wrong form of deadlifting, I'm like, he's moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
he's moving first for a start.
True.
Secondly comes, there is no wrong movement unless you have, how do I put it? Unless it has adversely affected you, which most people don't even think about. For them, it is about what have I seen on Instagram, what have I seen on YouTube, what has somebody told me. The awareness should be, what does my body need? Right? My body needs fasting. Does my body need deficit? Does it need surplus? Does it need deadlift? Or what does it need? Now, I wouldn't go to a plumber and ask him about lights. Right? And most people, this is what they're doing today with their fitness. They're going to the wrong person and asking him or her about things which they should be asking a professional who's credibly in a position to inform you about what is the right approach.
Yeah.
So then we take 3 different approaches and then we mix chow chow baat, kesari baat, everything together, have it, and then we expect where are the results.
Where are the results?
The funny part about fitness is the same boring monotonous stuff over a period of time only works.
Yeah.
Although
it's
we
just
are
these,
guilty.
just these basic 10 things.
We are guilty
that's
as
all it
instructors, influencers on Instagram. I'm not an influencer, but I've seen a lot of work, even by me, that I know I just had to do it because I need some eyes on my profile. As disgusting as it sounds, I'm guilty of work like this, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it. It's because that is a different game. Instagram is not where I would go for education. Although you could be educated from anywhere in the world. But that is not where I would go for education. And most people for their fitness education are going to Instagram.
So you're talking about a generation that's not just educating themselves on fitness through Instagram, but they're educating themselves on their life goals through Instagram. So let's not even get into that, right? So
Instagram has become the Bible, Quran, and the Bhagavad Gita today.
Yeah, it's sad. So yeah, let's get into that second bit, right? Just educating yourself. I think here's another thing, like Suhail has built this community and everything, but then you're not too Instagram oriented. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's two sides actually to
yeah.
it.
I understand. But on the other side, there is someone who's probably spent like a year in this space and has like 100,000 followers.
Ouch! This
on
is
Instagram.
the problem becomes.
Right?
Go on. I know where this is getting.
Yeah, and well, they're not only making a good buck, there are people swearing by them. So who's stopping them, Sohail?
Oh wow! Okay, so this is the beauty about Instagram. At the same time, it's also a problem sometimes, right? Like the fact that it gives everybody a platform to voice their opinions and voice their learnings and teachings. Who's to stop them? Nobody can stop anybody, and nobody should be stopping anybody. What I rather think you should be doing is you arm yourself with more credible information that you eventually are in a position to call the fakes from the not. Right? You cannot go around the world and calling everybody out. Even if you do know people around you, I think calling them out will just put them in a defensive mode, right? So you rather arm yourself with credible information from the right sources. Now, also the question arises, what are the right sources? See, I wouldn't think somebody with a PhD or a doctorate is bullshitting to you. So these people are also available on Instagram today. Yeah. Even if they are not giving you the best advice, at least they are not faffing to you. Whereas if you go on to somebody's profile and if you see the first content started with food, second went to fashion, third went to fitness, fourth went to travel, you know that's not a credible source to follow for your health and fitness. Or if you have, even for that matter, podcasts these days, right? Yeah. You will find a lot of influencers giving their opinions on fitness, which is absolutely okay. Now, is that the same as an educated coach who's strived through the ranks, helped himself with transformation of his own body and mind and other people and help other society around him? You know where your credible information is going to come from, right? So that way it is easier for you to spot what is not fake, right? Because Instagram is filled with so much information today. And if you have to go on filtering, you're going to find a lot of things that is not going to make sense. So I don't think it is for somebody to call anybody out, because even an influencer doesn't intend bad. At the other side of the spectrum is also, even if that person is an influencer, if they've reshared a content that is credible and can definitely help somebody, what's wrong with it?
Why not?
But I would not rely completely on that person for my health and fitness information. That's what I think is today's problem, like people cannot differentiate between who's a credible source and who's not a credible source.
Yeah. Let's get into a little more personal myth on your side that Suhail built a gym, made a lot of money. I mean, it's probably easy.
Good one, Adarsh.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, right? So what's been your biggest business challenge with Academy of Strength?
It's actually not too far away from what other people outside today think. I'm guessing that Suhail has built a gym and made a lot of money. Touch wood, I won't lie that there is definitely more than enough money for me to be satisfied and happy about. Coming from where I come, touch wood, coming from where I come from, 3 meals is a blessing and how. Right? Like, I'm so grateful, I can't even tell you. That being said, I'm in a position of plenty from where I came from, at least. That being said, still not floating in money, set up a business, all of that. The challenges to all this is what most people miss. Right? They see, okay, he got a car or he has a gym and people are flocking into the academy. So there must be a lot of money. Most of our money, Dev and I don't even touch. Literally, whatever we spend is what we make through our personal trainings. The business money is only for the business.
Really?
Yeah? So that way, money...
Wow.
Kida, kuch nahi. Okay, we have enough to run our day-to-day lives, enough to do whatever we want to here and there. But apart from that, it's all in the business. The second aspect of it, the challenges that you speak of. I have a lot of people today, after having set up 2 facilities, who come and think that it is damn easy to run a gym. You just have to spend some money, get some coaches, and then people will keep coming as soon as you post on Instagram. Right? Like, and it's not too far from the truth, because we make it seem like
it does look like that.
Right? The community is coming, they're having a ball, 6 a.m. everybody wants to do extra energy stuff. They don't leave till 8 in the evening. All that is true. But I realized that only came by because that the early 10-15 years that I told you, went to different gyms, didn't work out, had active memberships in 6 gyms, inactivity in 100 gyms, things like that. And that taught me a lot, actually. And when Dev and I started the academy, we wanted to rectify all those mistakes, firstly, that we saw as trainees going into a different facility. And add to that, it wasn't just enough that Dev and I preached that language. We needed to have a team of people who speak the same language.
Yeah.
And that's where it became the biggest challenge. It's easy for you to be one-man army and do what you do. But to get 15-20 other people to do exactly what you do with the same intensity and the same vibe is not easy. Anybody who's running a team or a team leader or runs a business, even if a team of 2 people, right, it's 2 extra heads and they are thinking people. We do not want anybody in our team to be somebody who just follows orders. We want people to contribute actively. We give them the space to have ideas that can culminate into something big, create new programs of their own. The drawback of giving your team space to create also becomes a place where you have to run your head 100 times over to say what works, what doesn't work. So the challenge has not just been to keep the organization and the facility physical space running, which maintenance again is one, I can't even tell you. Having people do the kind of work that they're doing today was my biggest challenge. So for everybody who thinks you can start a gym, spend some money, put 10 people in and people will come running to your facility, think again. Think 100 times over, because I've got nights after nights without sleeping, thinking of just members who are coming in and putting in so much pressure, which they don't realize they're doing to you. Running a gym is not easy. It's not easy. Post-COVID, I think 50% of the gyms have shut down.
Yeah. How did you survive COVID?
That's exactly what I'm coming at, right? Like, the process for what we did was so beautiful that people knew fitness as a day-to-day thing, like how you get up and brush your teeth. Yeah. So we transferred most of our work online and it felt so organic. It didn't feel like we had to start up an entirely new thing and new process and all of that. People were actually missing the gym. And how often do you know people who miss the gym, right? Like maybe 2 in 10 or like 10 in 100, 10% of it. For us, majority of them are missing it. So it was quite organic for us to move things online. And once things opened up, that moved back into the physical space. So that way, fortunately, through the COVID times, our landlord was a nice human being who gave us a good rebate on our end so we could stick that period out. At the same time, we continued making revenue and building our clientele on the online platform, which eventually transferred into the physical space.
It does seem like between you and Devrat, you take care of on ground more in terms of running the business.
So we've segregated work in such a way that I manage the floor responsibilities. And Devrat handles the online
programs. And
so he does most of the social media work, and his forte also is that for me primitive. My texting, my calls, my Instagram is horrible. Like I know friends who've gotten so angry with me because some DM has sat in my others folder for so many weeks, and I didn't even know there's others folder for a very long time. No, I swear I'm not joking. I didn't know there was others
like,
folder
are you serious,
for a very long time. And then my manager had to sit me down and tell me that, listen, so there are other messages also that go here. In case you don't want to miss out on business opportunities, they could be in that folder. So that's when I realized I need to be checking Instagram more often than not. That's why Devrat is a better person, because he's pretty active on social media, and that is his forte as well. I'm a people's person. For me, I would love to interact with the human directly rather than on a phone or a text or anything.
How many fully employed people?
We have around 14 now.
14,
20 as a team in a whole. Coaches, we have 7 each on both sides.
So 14 are coaches or 14 are?
Coaches, and then we have administration side as well and housekeeping. Together we have around 22 people.
22 people.
Yeah.
That's quite
a decent team, but then we have another 10 interns who are going to join us within the next 2 months. They are in their internship process right now. So most of our interns, like I said, we named it an academy because we just didn't want to be doing gym stuff.
Got it.
We wanted to educate, create coaches, things like that.
I think when Devrat was here, this was a year, 1.5 years ago, and the Whitefield branch had just opened up. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I think
it's been barely a year.
He had spoken about the podcast, saying this is what's happening. And one of the things we had touched on the podcast was him being worried about the fact that how will the thought process carry to the new branch, right? There is a certain thought process that lies in the Indranagar branch, and it feels safe. It feels like home. And the second we are talking about scope of business, scaling it and everything, there was almost this fear that was very evident that, hey, you know what, this is going to get adulterated.
Correct.
Has it gotten adulterated?
So our, like he said before, even the Whitefield facility could come into its own. We had this in our head saying that you see so many gyms today, without naming them, who have multiple facilities around, right? They started off very nicely when they had one gym. But as they spread, it got diluted somewhere. The ideology was lost. The focus wasn't the same. And this was also our fear. So that's exactly where we decided to take this path where we will have nobody with prior experience in our team. We don't want any coaches that come with a certain mindset or a certain game of what the fitness industry or the fitness should be like. So we've found clean slates and filled it in by ourselves. So we're like, now if you're a coach, you were not a coach before. You were an architect or an engineer or you were whatever in the field of whatever. But when you come in, we instill or we hard root things into your brain so clear about where we want this going, that tomorrow if you don't have the same ideology as us sitting on the top, you will not continue forward in the company. It's so simple. It is when you come in, I tell you, you have no experience of any fitness before, whatever I tell you becomes fitness for you. And carrying that forward simply means that anybody who comes under that person gets the same language. There's no confusion about anything else at all. But the first base layer was a big challenge for me. To get the thoughts out and get the same words to be replicated by the second line also takes a big challenge. So I mean, I don't think we've addressed it completely yet because we're still a growing company. I'll be able to tell you like maybe in a year or two when we come back with 10 gyms, and then I'll be like, yeah, maybe we've managed to hold the ideology in place still. But the aim is to not lose it. Luckily, second facility also speaks the same language still.
That's nice.
Hopefully 20 gyms later we will still be speaking the same language, inshallah.
Yeah. God's grace, it'll happen. So 10 gyms later, so what is it like? I mean, do you need like investors to come in? Is that what the plan is?
Team. So right now where we sit at,
or do you, and no, my only thing is this, right? Like when you plan for a scale that big, there are only two ways to go. Either you have like a rich family pouring money into your idea, or you've maybe made enough, or you get funded.
Both ways actually, like we have other rich families, not our family.
Okay. Who are ready to
fund.
Come in. Okay, that's nice.
But again, like you said, right, they are also people who don't entirely see the challenges of running a facility.
Yeah.
That's where we have held back from partnering up with anybody and everybody. Because they have seen the good side of what the academy is, where, we're flourishing, we're making more members, we're making people happy, we're becoming the talk of the town, things are happening. Although I would like to plug in at this point saying that we are not the only facility that is doing that kind of work. There are 3-4 facilities also, but they are very small, niche, handful organizations that are doing that kind of work. But that being said, fortunately for us, we've been spoken a little more of, and we do not want to lose that repetition. So it is becoming more and more important to us that the ideology that we started off keeps spreading further and further, and hoping at some point that people who join with us wanting to invest also understand we are about the ideology more than the business. Right? So the way I look at it is the business and the money that flows in becomes second nature once you follow the principles and ideology. If I serve you well, if I treat you well, if I build the community, if I make sure that your health and wellness is my priority, there's no way I will not make money. It's by nature, if somebody is progressing, my business will progress. So that way, if people who are investing into us start to understand it is more than money, I think it'll be helpful. And we have a lot of people, but not everybody who thinks it is about the health and wellness more than the business aspect. So we've held back one reason for that. And the second reason is also setting up a team, man. It's not the easiest challenge. Believe me, for everybody who thinks that they can start gym, 10 people, keep going, every step you will see the biggest challenge becomes the ideology of the people who are growing in your organization. And if that changes, then you've lost the plot. So we're trying hard not to change that and not to grow too fast so that doesn't get lost in translation.
Yeah, again, you said, one of your easiest way to work with the challenge of getting the right mindset is you said, let me get people young and then, mold their thing. But again,
inexperienced
that's
people.
that's not easy, right? Because what that comes with is a lot of time investment. Like each and every person requires so much of time investment, especially when they are young. And you never know. It's still a risk if they decide to leave you.
Like I said, like the challenges have been, and not only decide to leave because they didn't like it. There have been times when we've almost reached the finale of the whole internship where you're almost about to be knighted and said you're a coach. At that point, people have left. Right?
You can't make them sign a contract.
We have certain protocols in play today, but we learned this early, right? We learned thinking we are going to pour into each and every team member as much as we know about ourselves, and we are going to get that tenfolds back into our organizations. Not every human is like you. Like your intentions could be as pure as you want them to be, but not everybody will walk in and just replicate and mirror your emotions. So we had people, and again, like I told you earlier before we start the podcast, there is no worry about competition today. That is what has put Dev and I at ease.
In a comfortable
we think
space.
that there is so many people to train today, right? I don't have to fight with another gym. I'm like, dude, in this gully, there are 100 people. How many can your gym accommodate at one time? Once you accommodate 1,000, where the other people will go? They have to go somewhere else, right? So then eventually, what does it become about? It becomes about, are you actually giving out good service that people in their life feel like, oh, this is adding value? If that is the story, you not have to worry about competition in business. Whatever you do, you will find an audience for it. See, even the way I look at things right now in the fitness industry, there are coaches who don't know ABC of squats and deadlifts also. These people also are giving results. No, not to call them out, but it is true. You and I both know that every industry has somebody who does not know anything about the industry but still calling themselves a professional. Even these people are giving results. Okay, not that they are not. But is there a better option? Is there a better process? Is there something that is more true to nature of what you really call for fitness? That should be a trainee's question to himself. Right? So that way, if I see, I train 10 people and 9 out of them leave. Of course, business sense, it's not making a lot of sense here. I'm being stupid to coach people and send them out. But that being said, I have nothing to worry about. Even if he goes and starts a gym right in front of my gym, I don't care. I really don't care. I feel like you'll fill out sometime. I'll fill out sometime. There will still be more people. Where will they go? So eventually they will choose the one who's serving them better. Right? It's not about how much I know and learned and run out of there.
I think it's the least of your challenges to worry about competition.
Least.
And if there are other challenges, more worthy challenges,
Absolutely.
right? So you've trained quite a few celebrities, if I may say so. I mean, it's a badge to wear, right? Whether it's Yash sir or Kenny or Kanan, like these are things that it gives a lot of credibility to who you are in the space. So what does it feel like?
Honestly, like these things now have started to little settle down within me, but initially it was all goosebumps. Like from where I started, right? Like to have been a fat, insecure kid, running around eating every junk you can find on the streets of Bangalore possible, and really looking for help from pillar to post, for somebody to come and tell me, say something that will fix my health and wellness. From that kid to somebody who's advising other people and celebrities about their mindset, about their physical life, and about their day-to-day nourishment. It's just like I still pinch myself. I'll be like, is this really happening? Why are they listening to me? Like, I just ate a dosa and came.
Like literally.
So I'm like, then I mean, not to discredit myself too much, I step back and I think, saying that it is, I've been blessed somehow. I've been more lucky than hardworking, to be honest, Like I have put in the work, but I feel like there's something, I don't know what, something supernatural maybe, that has constantly pushed me in the right direction and kept me safe, given me opportunities like I never imagined I would ever experience in my life. Like most people today that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, say 10 years back, I used to look at it and be like, wow, I wish I knew that person, or I wish I hung out with them, or I wish like they were my friends of some way. And today these people text me wanting like I won't name, somebody messaged me and I had goosebumps and I was thinking, why is this person messaging me and they want something from me? I'm like, what am I? Who am I? I still go into those questions where like, I don't know if this is real, like how has this all in just such a short time turned on its head, from this guy who was constantly looking for help for his fitness, is advising other people on fitness. It really humbles me. It makes me feel really grounded, because now shit is serious, like now I can't just lie and faff about anything. I really take that responsibility very, very, very seriously. It's driven me to a point where now I know that, for every time that as a kid or as an adult you had heard, let's make a difference, let's make a change, let's make a better world, let's leave it a better place than we came, and all that, this all makes sense to me today. Because I can see a path and I can see a way in which I can actually do this. It makes me feel very responsible. I have a lot of vices. If you really know me, unfiltered. I have so many vices, and every time something goes off with me, I feel like, okay, somebody else also might be struggling with this. So let me see, what is this vice doing to me mentally, physically, emotionally. And I try to bring out all my learnings from my experiences. Firstly, And then the fact that I'm coaching so many people from different walks of life also brings awareness to what other people at different levels are thinking. Like, for example, Yash or Kenny or Kanan. For most people, they might be, wow, what an ideal life, right? Like, what amazing, like his only online ride sold for 1,000 crores. He's doing world tours every second month. Look at him. He's got everything that he needs. You know, it's weird that we are all on the same level while not being at the same level. Right, the worries and the stresses and all the insecurities that I had as a child growing up, most of these celebrities in some sphere have the same thing. They might not be very open about it because the world doesn't take lightly to vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah.
The minute you show vulnerabilities, then the sharks come.
Yeah.
So these people sitting on top have tenfold more than we do, but they don't show it. Likewise, they have reached a point in their life that they know that their efforts will churn and turn their lives around. So they believe that they can do these things. And when I meet them, right, they always tell me about how they don't want life to be very easy and simple. Adversities really polish and turn them into who they are today. And that's a big learning for me also. When I look at somebody at that level thinking, oh, even you have worries and problems and you're dealing with it like this, then who am I?
Yeah.
Right? So training all these celebrities has brought more normalcy to my life.
Yeah.
Where I used to be like, oh, something's wrong with me. Why am I like this? That is the story with everybody. And for me to be talking that language to them makes me feel like, whoa, what have I done?
So did Kanan lose all his weight at the academy?
Kanan did lose a lot of weight at the academy, but Kanan loves his drinking and eating. He loves it and he's very clear about it. He's very clear.
So already manage it.
Yeah, so he said, okay, I will train now, I will take care of my health, and then I go destroy it for some time. Okay. Because I enjoyed destroying it. And then I'll come back and take care of it again.
So he's on that cycle.
He knows मेरे को Van Hussein का underwear model नहीं बनना है. I want to be healthy, fit, so I can enjoy my drinking and whatever I do. At the same time, right now, from where he used to be, which is completely lose it, now he loses it, then he comes back. Then he loses it, then he comes back. But in a general level, he understands moderacy today. So like I said, fitness is not always about showing a six-pack. Fitness is feeling good in your health, in your head. Like, you know, feeling like, oh, I can go out and do what I want to do. It's not just about being able to jump or run or fight or things like that. It's being at ease or accepting this body for what it is. So Karan's found that about himself, you know, and he's very happy with where he is with his body. The minute he's not happy, call comes. We're like, okay, something is off. Restart. So for him is that. The other side of the spectrum is Kenny and Yash. Wow. If they're dedicated, like Kenny is so dedicated, even on days when he's like in a different time zone, midnight, somewhere and all, he's doing his routines.
But what is his biggest challenge?
Kenny's biggest challenge? For him, it was about figuring his nutrition when he came to me. Like he didn't know the last bit of how to cut down, right? He was carrying a little extra and he knew it. He just didn't know how to bring it down. He had tried a few approaches and few things that hadn't worked in like his favor. But I think we managed to together figure it out. It was, like I said, not one size fits all. Whereas he was thinking if I eat boiled, it goes up, but it doesn't last, right? Then we tried to figure a way in which he will get to where he is and then continue enjoying what it was. With Yash was, again, same thing. Like through the lockdown, he had given himself that leniency to enjoy. He just finished KGF and all of that. And he really relaxed. So when I started off with him, it was about we need to quickly make one transformation. I have certain projects going on, and I worked with him for those particular things. And he quickly so dedicated that wherever in the country, wherever in the world he's staying, from that hotel or that accommodation, I would get the chef's call. I would plan his whole meals with him. Wherever he goes, I would speak to the chef before he reaches there, arrange his food for him. And there was a time when it was damn funny. They were shooting for something, lot of food on the table. Some ad where they were supposed to eat and whatever. And I told them very strictly that today's work day, you have a lot of things on your plate, like figuratively, and you're going to fast till you're finished, and then I will plan your meal after your shoot is done. But then in the shoot, they were supposed to eat things to show whatever. And they were eating and spitting it out because they were fasting. The director was like, why are you spitting it out? He's like, no, our coach has told us not to eat today. Yash and Radhika ma'am both. They were shooting and I was like, wow. And then the video called me and they're dressed really nicely. They're showing all the food on the table. I thought they were in someone's house. And they turned the camera around. Crew of 25 people standing there and waiting for me to give them permission to eat. The director wants the shot to look very original, so he wants them to eat it. And I was like, no, please eat. No, this is fine. This is fine. So that's how dedicated they were when they are on their program.
So celebrities pay some surcharge for being a celebrity?
Well, surcharge. To be honest, I have never wanted to charge anybody more or less than what I charge anybody else. Right? But since their demand and their requirements are more heavy and the commitment for time is greater, we tend to charge for the time. But apart from that, I have never looked at somebody and be like, I can scam money out of this person, or this person is very rich, I can make more money out of this person. See, like I said, for me, the journey started with me being a fat boy. So I knew when I entered gyms how expensive personal training were, how expensive gyms were. And damn, if I do the same thing, what I struggled with as a kid, then I've really lost the plot. Although we are very expensive in relative to whatever things are around us, I still train people sometimes without the monetary aspect of it. Like, I don't care if this person can contribute money to my cause, but it helps me to help him get fit. Helps me. See, remember I'm saying this, it helps me to help him get fit. Every person who comes back to me and says, thank you, my health and fitness has taken a leap in my life, I can't tell you the overwhelming feeling for me. Like, the fat kid inside me gets so happy. I feel like, dude, you're a fat chap helping other people lose fat. That's crazy. Like, it doesn't leave my head, For me, as a kid, I always thought of myself as somebody who's fat and will remain fat till I die. I went out and claimed myself on social media, calling myself Coach Fat Boy. But irony, it changed. I also thought, what fun it'll be someday if I'm ripped and then people come looking for a fat boy profile and see abs.
Pretty much.
So thanks to other people helping them, that forced me to help myself. Right? So celebrities were not any different. For me, it was same body, right? Anatomy doesn't change. For Yash or Kenny, they don't have extra limbs. They don't get extra packs or something like that. So that way things didn't change, and the way I interact with most people is unfiltered. And it's gotten me into trouble. Like, what's on my head is on my mouth. So I don't really think before I say, and when I say it, then I like, oh shit, I could have done without saying it.
So what's the scene? When is Suhail getting married?
Oh wow, dude, you sound like my aunt right now. Believe me, place I didn't think this would be asked was on a podcast, but it has been asked. So as soon as like somebody sends me a good rishta, guys, everybody out there looking for a nice Muslim girl, because my family wants Muslim, not because I want Muslim. If you do find her, please let me know. On the cards. So which cards, I don't know.
Which card? I'd asked Devrat also, but
after me,
Devrat's, I think Devrat's on a different trip, man. He's really like, I mean, more and more of what he wants to do. In fact, there's one of the biggest reels out of that episode is where he speaks about there'll come a day when I'm not reachable anymore and people are trying to search for me and I've gone into the hills, and that's the reel that has done like the most views, and it's smelling like it's happening right now.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if they have never got married, but not me. I want to. I want to. There's no second thought about it. And on a very practical note, I don't know how you would do without a partner in life. I mean, my perspective. Knowing Dev, first he needs to come to the mountains before he decides to be single for life. Secondly, I see him that he can be happy like that, man. He's got some friends like me, so he'll manage. He doesn't need to be married. I entertain him quite a lot.
Nice. What is? So there's no free time on the schedule right now.
You've seen how much it's taken me to come to the podcast, but
don't you burn out?
I do. Actually, not burnout wouldn't be the right word. There is some form of saturation with physical being that comes. Mental fatigue is there for sure, because now my work has transformed into more ideating than physically doing it. Before it was a lot of physical. When I feel burnout, I feel like my mind needs rest more than my body. Like I know my system can keep pushing physically, but mentally there is no productivity happening. So that I've become very aware of, saying that only limited hours in a day can be productive work. And before it used to be like a horse, run from morning till night. Now I give myself enough. I do travel here and there whenever I can also. I mean, not for work. My travel is usually for... I don't like to work when I travel.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I know a lot of friends who do that for like travel and work simultaneously. For me, travel, I want to not think of work. Inevitably, it happens where like I get such serious FOMOs from work, man. Like, I love it so much. I start missing the gym. So that way, burnout for me, if I was not doing what I'm doing, maybe I could have more than I generally would. These days, I feel the need for a break. I don't reach burnout though. I think that is only because I really love what I do. Yeah.
Suhail, I mean, one of the things we've always felt is when we interview the right people, it's never enough how much ever we speak. But of course, it's been about an hour and 10 minutes.
It's been an hour. Hasn't seemed like it.
There's a lot more I'd love to dig your brain on, but I think we'll definitely have you back.
Fantastic.
Some of the things that I definitely want to call out at the end of this episode, right? One of the most beautiful things has been where you started. I think to get into this world without having parents at your back, but great that you had support, right? The thing is, it's not rare to be in that situation. It's more common than you think.
It is. It true is.
But what's rare is where you get from there. Right. True. What's rare is where you get from there. Yeah. And
I've been lucky, Adarsh, to be honest. I don't want to entirely take the credit of my survival on I did everything. No. There have been small parts by a lot of people, and some people have just come for that phase and walked out. Yeah. So wherever they are, whoever they are, I'm really grateful to those people, the support system that was there when I really needed, right? That saw me through my toughest times. And I'm guessing like it's not just my life. Everybody around has real struggles. Not everybody has been fortunate like me. So like I can't thank my stars enough and whatever's watching over me for where I've reached.
It's this, right? You mentioned one or two cliche things, but it's true. I'll give you one thing that's very cliche, right? You kept saying like, what, I feel lucky, I've been fortunate in this. It just goes back to this cliche term that sometimes it's not you who's picking the dream, but the dream that picks you, right? And it is what it is. And it almost seems like a duty that you're doing because you didn't pick the dream. The dream almost picked you.
Yeah, I was not good at anything else.
Yeah. Now you're serving it. You don't have any other option. You're just serving it.
Right? And I feel really responsible about it. Yeah. Like I said, it started off with just wanting to change and lose a little weight. But for where it has come to now, I feel very serious about the kind of responsibility that people entrust on you and your organization.
Yeah.
You can either make or break. Like I said, it's very few people really get the opportunity to make a difference and a change.
Yeah.
I think we have that opportunity, and I really hope that we make a change.
Yeah, you will. And just calling out Devrat and you, one of the things that we have been passionate about, me and Aditya, is documenting journeys like these. And as much as we loved interviewing Dev, we knew we needed you here because it gives a very wholesome approach towards documenting this, right? And as of today in 2023, AOS is on its second branch. And our prayers are for more and more.
Inshallah.
And then and definitely on the next part, I'll have you and Devrat here together.
Oh wow, that'll be
Okay,
fun.
so we want
It'll be alright.
we want you and Devrat here.
I'm scared for it.
We need you and Devrat here on the next one, and you're gonna go tell him that, because that's something we're gonna enjoy.
Like ice and fire. He's
Yeah.
very silent and very composed. I have no concept of silence.
But yeah, man, all the best. Thank you for making it here.
Thank you so much.
You've been amazing. Keep doing the work that you do. We are here rooting for you, man.
Thank you so much for having me over, Aditya, for persevering through all the times that I missed and making sure that I made it on a Sunday 7 o'clock morning. I had a ball of a time talking to others. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Suhail. This was episode number 59 of On a Personal Note with Adarsh Sakare. If you watched till here, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. We'll see you on episode number 60. We're hitting the 60s next. Thank you.